Welcome to this audio-described version of Passing, a film by me, Jo Bannon. I'll be giving some audio description of the visual elements of the film for our VIPs, that's visually impaired people, for those of you not in the know. Closed captions of the dialogue, music and ASMR soundscape are also available in this version. But before we get started, let me introduce you to our two co-stars. First, we will meet Sindri. Sindri is a visually impaired dancer and choreographer from Sweden. Their voice sounds like this.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that actually, how much extra work it is.
They are in their mid-30s, white, with high cheekbones, short brown hair and pale green eyes. We will also meet Augusto. Augusto is a magician, specialising in sleight of hand, close-up magic. His voice sounds like this.
I would never do this kind of thing in front of an audience. I don't think it's a bit like showing off, I guess.
Augusto is a white man in his early 40s. He has lightly tanned skin with a speckled beard and bright blue eyes. We meet them in a strange, sumptuous, colourful world draped in hot pink velvet. Often we see Augusto and Sindri's hands slide out from under a velvet curtain and then perform tricks and dances atop a hot pink velvet tablecloth. Sometimes they look as though they're floating there. I guess you could say the hot pink velvet is our third co-star. It is plush, tactile, luxurious, and it's the brightest pink you can imagine. It sounds like this. I think that's all you need to know to get things started. After all, I don't want to give away too many tricks and spoil what's yet to come. So let's begin. A close-up of Sindri's face. Their eyes flit from side to side, occasionally darting back to the lens. Their gaze travels around the room as though distracted, or looking at something elsewhere. They purse their lips as if they might speak, but don't.
So by looking somewhere else, but actually all my attention is straight forwards, like where my chest or my heart area is pointing, I catch where the sort of ocular connection is, and then as soon as I can, before I forget where it is, I try to go there, like, so almost like pretending or passing that I'm doing something else, like thinking of something or like trying to see something over there. Then just hit it.
Sindri looks straight down the lens. Pink text reads, "Passing." A close-up of Augusto's face.
By learning to do magic, you learn about performing a kind of naturalness or a kind of ease. It's a strange kind of training because in some way in some respects, you're splitting yourself. You're splitting something that you're presenting and something that's really going on. So you're creating a kind of mask.
A coin appears in Augusto's hand.
I guess what you train as a magician is partly this sense of putting yourself in the other's shoes quite a lot, because that's what you have to do in order to deceive them, or you're always having to think 10 steps ahead of what they're going to be seeing, not seeing, and therefore what they're going to be or might be thinking about in relation to what they're seeing and not seeing.
A large pink velvet curtain. To the right, a pair of hands protrude, shuffling cards. Bottom left, another pair of hands stroke the pink carpet. Now another pair of hands, side by side, as one set of hands lift the curtain hem to show bare legs and white socks. The curtain drops, floating hands against a pink velvet curtain.
The thing is that when you don't see who might see you, you might be watched all the time. That like you do something and you know that there might be someone saying something like, oh, this is the direction, or oh, you dropped your card, or oh, you like, and there's so many moments where when you kind of know that you have an eye on you working as a dancer with a visual impairment. I think you have to be a little bit one step ahead of the person that is looking at you. That you have to somehow like be ready for that comment, or be ready for that you have to be ready for that reaction on your existence, let's say, or on your action, to be ready to cope with it.
Brightly coloured playing cards.
There's something that often happens when you're training, especially when you're using a mirror. So you might be practicing something in front of the mirror, and let's just say that it's something that the audience aren't meant to see. And because you don't want the audience to see it, what you start doing without noticing it is you just start blinking. You blink in order to edit out the move. And it's a bit of a bad habit, because what can then happen is if you don't notice that that's what you're doing, when you then go and perform, at the moment that you're executing the move, people will see you close your eyes for a moment. Every time you're doing something a little tricky, every time you're doing these so-called moves, the audience might not necessarily see the move, but they'll know that something's up. So it's a strange kind of predicament. It's as if you are kind of editing a perfect version of the performance, but just for yourself. And you can see that sometimes. You can see magicians perform, and they are doing this with their heads and their eyes. They're just sort of taking out the little moments that they wish to remain unseen.
2 coins balanced delicately on the middle finger of each hand, move tentatively towards each other.
I like the idea of claiming something. If I'm looking for something with my hands, for example, and I don't find it, instead of like, oh, excusing yourself, you just like claim it by owning it somehow. Like,
A third hand appears from behind the curtain and removes the dropped coin. Piano hands. Sindri juggles white balls.
just
Augusto vanishes and reappears a coin.
Trust. Catch.
White socks and shuffling hands stick out of a large pink curtain.
I think there's always a way back from any mistakes. If there aren't ways of recovering, then you can just recover through an acceptance of failure.
They flick and fail to catch cards.
Yeah, it's like a heckle, I guess, performed by objects. It's the objects kind of heckling the show a little bit. So you have to then be able to take it in your stride.
I mean, claiming can also be allowing yourself to twitch or fall or hesitate. Yeah, all these motions that can be codified as failures. I think it can also be those qualities that you allow to be there.
A hand points at you. A white rabbit cleans its paw. Hands dance. Gesturing hands say, ta-da. Two white rabbits appear on a mini stage against a pink curtain. They sniff and lick and nuzzle each other.
I love my job sometimes.
Augusto and Sindri cradle the rabbits.
And then we can do this thing that I often do, that I pretend that I'm touching something that is not there.
The outline of a person appears through the pink curtain. Only their white socks visible.
It's like, yeah, it's almost like you dance with something that is not there.
They disappear. The curtain billows.
So there's nothing here. It's clearly nothing. Except there, of course, there is.
Cards explode from the edge of the curtain. The picture fades to pink. Credits. A film by Jo Bannon. Performed by Augusto Corriere and Sindri Renewed. Director of Photography Candida Richardson. Composer Yaz Clark. Sound designer Julie Rose Bauer. Sound mixer Rob Hart. Set and costume designer Katerina Radeva. Set and costume maker Rositza Radeva. Rabbits Little Bluey and Cola. Rabbit handler Amigos Magic. Editor John Stevenson. Colorist William Glass. Line producer John Stevenson. Produced by Make. Supported by Unlimited and Welcome Collection. Commissioned by The Space. Made possible thanks to funding from Arts Council England.